Ask AJ a question. The first question is, how do you get rid of the dang rats? I don't have a perfect answer to this. The way I'm getting rid of the dang rats is by putting out 3 different kinds of trap. A live trap, have a heart, which is like a galvanized metal cage. A plastic chomping trap that kills the rodent. And a plastic enclosure with an electric shock table inside. I think if you put out all those 3 kinds of traps and you spend about 10 or 20 minutes a day checking them and thinking about them, probably get rid of 99% of your rats. You can also get a cat. It's worth noting that the rats don't add up to a lot of biomass. Some of the rats belong here, but there's not that many of them. People are maybe exaggerating how many are out here. Maybe it's abnormal for Wonder Valley, but in the scheme of things, there are a lot of other places with a lot more pest biomass. So we're pretty lucky out here with this particular problem. Second question is about Datura. What is the quantity difference between lethal and merely hallucinogenic doses of Datura wrightii, aka sacred Datura? I can't speak too much about Datura wrightii in particular, or Datura in general. It is a hallucinogen. I tend to call it a deliriant. I break down the hallucinogenic drugs into 3 classes usually. There's the dissociatives like ketamine and DXM and PCP. There's the psychedelics like mushrooms and mescaline and LSD and many others. And then there's the deliriants like Datura. I've had a fair amount of experience with some of the components of Datura and some drugs that kind of behave like it, like Dramamine. And maybe the 2 most active alkaloids in Datura are scopolamine and atropine. Both of them have a lot of use as medicine and a long tradition of white people getting really sick with them. Other cultures seem to have integrated Datura use into their life really closely and without a lot of pain and suffering. Though they are deliriants and shaman drugs, and many shaman drugs had a strong pain and suffering component. They weren't necessarily fun things to take. I can't really recommend a quantity. I don't think we're equipped. I'm certainly not equipped to take Datura recreationally or even medicinally. Scopolamine and atropine are available over the counter. Scopolamine in particular is widely used. If I'm thinking off the top of my head, it's like a milligram. You start to get into dangerous territory, 3 or 4 milligrams, you're really pushing it. I think, as with many other drugs of this nature, it doesn't necessarily kill you directly. It's more that you're so delirious and so agitated that you can end up killing yourself by some kind of physical mishap. But if you end up in a hospital, there's a known antidote. The antidote doesn't work perfectly, though. It's quite an unpleasant experience to be stuck in a hospital coming off of a deliriant. It's a fascinating drug worth studying. I just definitely don't approach it as though anybody knows what they're talking about. It's really a new territory for Americans, our modern American culture. We have almost no understanding of it. The last question: how do you become more aware of things in your environment that are deteriorating and require your attention? I think I know who asked this question. I don't know if I can teach anybody this, and I don't think I'm particularly good at it, but I think the person asking the question is looking to me as though I'm good at this. So I'll say what I do. I just think about these things all day long. It's just part of my normal thought process. I've got a big list in my head that I circulate around about all the things that I own and that I'm tending, and certain things bubble to the surface. I could make actual lists. In my mind, it's more of a map, and I just roam around the map looking for things that need attention. Out here, the desert's good at preserving certain things, and it's pretty good at destroying other things. We have a lot of plastic and rubber items in our possession presently, like tires on cars and trailers and sandbags and tarps and all those things degrade in the sun and the heat. We've got batteries, which really suffer in the heat and in the cold. Even solar panels degrade in the heat and the cold. So I think about them. I'm not particularly good at staying on top of them. I don't beat myself up too much about losing track or not getting things done when they need to be done. But so I don't know. It's the little map in my mind that I scroll through. In Japanese culture, it's been written about in the English language anyway, two separate things. Toyota seems to have this culture of continuous improvement, which I find fascinating. I don't know if it's real, but it's been written about a lot, and it sounds fun. I like the idea of optimization more so than revolution or evolution. And there's this small thing that it's been written about that the train companies do. They have their conductors and other staff do is they point at stuff all the time. They just have this habit of pointing at things, sort of like mimes. And they tend to point at useful things like the tracks on the railroad or open doors or lines of people or things that they bring their attention to. I suppose the idea is if you're constantly bringing your attention to interesting things, especially in a context of continuous improvement or looking out for danger, anyway, the myth is that helps continuously improve and catch things before they fully decay. And I do that to some degree. I don't necessarily walk around pointing at stuff, but I walk around examining things all day long pretty much.
Do you have any last message to the people of Wonder Valley and the Palms restaurant?
I feel like today was a bit more of a long-winded answering session, and I'm sorry I made you to listen to such a long set of answers.